Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Leaderonomics Show. And every Thursday at 10 a.m., we talk to distinguished people from all over the world, authors, professors, experts in the field of leadership and other different disciplines. And we try to drill in and we try to figure out what makes them tick and also try to instill and distill insights from each and every one of us. Today, joining us, we have Tina Towers, who is an award-winning serial entrepreneur who has founded, grown, and sold several businesses and franchises. Tina, welcome to the show. Tina has helped hundreds of people package their expertise into an online course and launch it into the world. Through her program, which is called Her Empire Builder, she's on a mission to help 100 women build $1 million business a year by 2025. And she's also an author of a book, and we're going to talk about the book in a bit, Tina. So Tina, welcome to the show, and welcome all the way from Australia, which we just heard won the 2032 Olympics in Brisbane. So congratulations, Australia, on getting that. Hopefully by 11 years time, we'll be able to actually physically be there and cheer these Olympians on. I know tomorrow we have the opening ceremony of the Tokyo Games, finally opening after a year of delay. So Tina, tell us a bit about yourself and tell us a bit about what makes you tick and how you got to where you got to.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. So I'm Tina Tower. I am from Sydney, Australia, and this is the closest I've come to travel in a long time. So excited to be talking to you. So I have been in business basically my whole adult life. So I started my first business when I was 20, and I've ran a few different businesses and built them and sold them. And then in 2018, I traveled around the world with my husband and my two sons. And that's how I started building online businesses. So I started online courses and fell absolutely in love with it as a way to package your knowledge and be able to share it with people all over the globe. And so now I work primarily with women in being able to package their knowledge and help reach a wider audience as well.
Fantastic, Tina, and you have a mission, primarily to help women, right? So talk us through, helping women, and you try to, especially help women to make an impact through online courses, speaking, and content, right? So talk us through a bit about how you do that. What's the secret behind that?
Yeah, so it's building up people's thought leadership. So I think, everyone has so much unique knowledge and expertise that they have gained throughout their life that they can share with others, and they can earn money by sharing that, but then also help people as well. Because in this world that we're living in, people want to learn so much, and you have that skill set that someone's looking for to shortcut their success. So how we do that is really getting comfortable with your expertise and getting the courage to kind of step out from behind the shadows and into the light and really own your own expertise and be able to speak confidently about it and run courses on it so that you can reach people all over the world.
Fantastic. And we're going to start to drill in a little bit to some of those insights that we can capture. But, one amazing thing is the $1 million micro business, how to turn your expertise into a digital online course. And Tina Wiley publishes this book, and it's just out, I understand, right, hot off the press.
Yes.
So tell us a bit about this book and, what was the intent of the book and what are some of the insights that we can capture from this book?
Yeah, so I primarily work with people who are experienced. So they're off the ground already, not in the very, very beginning stages. But a lot of people were asking me about that all the time and saying, how do I get into it? How do I create my first course? Where do I start? How do I get over the overwhelm and all of the things that it looks like? And so a lot of people are taking way too long to get started because it just seems like this big unachievable thing. And I love books. You can probably tell by my background. I'm quite a fan of books. And so I really wanted to contribute to that space. And so I wrote $1 Million Micro Business, which is really the beginning stages. So whether you're from a corporate background or a business background or whatever background you've got, if you've got an idea and you go, you know what, I could package this and help other people by selling it, then the book walks you through every step. So it's basically a really handy guidebook. So it's designed to be part really practical and part inspiration. So we've got some success stories in there and my story in there, but it also will allow you to work through it and actually create that online course as well.
Fantastic. And you and I understand that you people can get a copy at the milliondollarmicrobusiness.com, right? That's the website.
Yeah.
And there's a free digital workbook there also. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so I love, there's a lot of things in the book, a lot of exercises and different things that we've got, but a lot of people don't like writing in their book. And so I made a digital workbook that you can download that's got worksheets so that if you're going to use it as a practical guidebook, you can work through that and fill all of that into, and it's got all of the resources there. So if you're wondering, okay, I want to film something, what camera do I use or what mic do I use for my podcast? All of those resources are all at milliondollarmicrobusiness.com.
Fantastic. And we've got different guests coming in. Ida, welcome from Seremban in Negeri Sembilan. Welcome to the show. And so to anyone else, if you have any questions for Tina, just shoot them in the comment section, and Tina will be glad to answer them. If you were to, as you read this book, I'm sure you went through a process of writing it, but as you read it, if you were to pick out one of the biggest insights, in terms of what the book has to offer, and if you could share that one insight, what would be that one insight in the book that you think it's one of the biggest insights that you would be able to share to the rest of us?
Yeah, so I think as much as it is a practical step-by-step in going, okay, define your idea, work out your niche, what is your pricing, all of that sort of thing, I do think the biggest component is getting over the fear. That is usually what holds people back the most. Is everyone has that idea, everyone goes, yeah, I could do that, but am I smart enough? Am I expert enough? Can I do that? What gives me the right to talk to other people? Like all of the different things in there. So I think that the biggest insight is really in being able to identify that what you have is so valuable and how you can be of service to other people by sharing that. And that is, to me, what is probably the most important, because it's what I see hold the most people back. And there's so many smart, knowledgeable people, but they're the biggest kept secret in the world. And I don't want that for you.
And how does one really overcome that? Because a lot of times we get crippled and almost feel powerless, right? We are so taken in by the circumstances around us. Imagine with COVID now and the inability to do much, right? And we get into this framework that it's all bad things are happening to me. And how do you unfold yourself from this almost victimization that is, or self-victimization, I would say sometimes, how and then propel yourself to be able to say, hey, I'm going to start something, I'm going to build something, and I'm going to ship, and I'm going to create, and I'm going to make a difference. And because it's like you're stuck in this rut. And how do you help women to be able to propel themselves out of this?
Yeah, well, I think first it's working out that there actually has never been a better time in history to start an online business, because there's so many people at home who are wanting to learn new skills while they're in lockdowns. I know you and I are both in lockdown at the moment, a year and a half later. So it's a good time to do it. But as you said, that's where, even though you've got the time and the space to do it, it's getting into the right frame of mind and going, okay, I can use this time, rather than feeling sorry for myself and being frightened for what's happening in the world and all the doom and gloom, is going, how can I use this time for good? And how can I move myself further along so that your future is going to be brighter? And I think with that, really how you break through that fear is starting small, doing that one little thing. So rather than looking at everything and getting all overwhelmed and going, oh my gosh, I can't do this, just do that one little next thing. And then each time you do one little thing, it gives you that little increase in confidence to go, I did something I've never done before. Okay, maybe I can try that next thing. And then as you go, you try something bigger and bigger, and your confidence will grow, rather than saying, I'm going to launch by starting a webinar and I'm going to have 1,000 people on there, and you've never ran a webinar before. And then, you're going to crap your pants and want to run out the door.
No, absolutely. And I'm assuming these insights that you've gained in this book, as the process of writing this book, I assume these were all stuff that you went through yourself, right? In terms of the lessons learned and how, maybe you can share a little bit about your process, in terms of how you went through some of these challenges yourself, and ultimately able to transcribe this book and share the processes on reaching this point of doing so yourself. Talk us through that a little bit.
Yeah. So what I learned about myself in the process, one, writing a book takes a huge amount of discipline. That was the hardest part about writing the book, was there is, this is made up of nearly 100,000 words. So there is a lot in there. And the permanence of it was really hard for me. So I know I'm in online courses, and when I create something, if I'm not happy with it, or if someone asks me a question and I go, oh, I didn't address that, I can re-record it really, really easily. Whereas a book is there forever. So I had a massive scared moment in going, oh my gosh, what if I put it out and then it all changes straight away and it's obsolete? Or that fear of judgment as well. For me, I have ran really successful businesses, but somewhat under the radar. I haven't, I don't have a huge social media following. I'm in no way business famous. And so that was a bit scary when I put the book out, to go, well, if I'm going to get the book in enough hands, I have to do things like we're doing right now. I have to expand the audience and be comfortable enough in sharing that story with people. And so obviously, whenever we do something that we've never done before, there's going to be that moment of going, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Like, there's that unknown and that uncertainty. But one of the biggest things I've learned throughout 17 years in business is I'm safe. I'm okay. I've done some really scary things. I mean, stepping on stages, talking to thousands of people, and doing things that I haven't done before enough times to know that I can do things I haven't done before, and I'm not going to die. I'm going to be all right.
No, and I think that's the reality, right? I mean, when you step out and get out of your comfort zone into the courage zone, you start to see things move, and you get a lot more confidence, and that confidence provides you the impetus to push forward and go into another zone.
Into your courage zone. That is good.
So I was looking through your background, and you started this Empire podcast series, right? Empire Builder podcast series, right? Yeah. Was that one of those stepping out of the comfort zone into the new courage zone and taking it to the next level? Because you got 135 episodes now, or something around that, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, talk us through that. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people might be thinking, like, I too want to figure out how to brand myself, and I too want to build something, and I want to drive content, and I want to be able to, even if it's just some great insights that I've got, I want to share that with people. How did you get to that point of not just setting up podcasts is doing it once or twice, but pushing it to 135 episodes? That's consistency, that's endurance, that's sustainability, right? So tell us a bit about that venture.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think podcasting is such a good thing to do because it is so easy and it is cheap. So you can, all you need is your phone and a microphone. And that is the basic requirements for running a podcast. So I like it because of its accessibility. So I started it because it was an easy way to reach a lot of people without me having to spend a lot of money. The other reason I love podcasting so much is it gets me to connect with the audience quite intimately. So, when people are looking on social media, our attention span is so low that we can gloss past things really, really quickly. But often for a podcast episode, people are committed to that half an hour or hour, and they're sitting there with it in their ears. So you can form that really close relationship. And I wanted to speak to really incredible people. And so if I rang all these really incredible people and just went, hey, can I have a chat? Like, they're going to say no. But if I say, can you come onto my podcast and it's going to help to promote them, they say yes. And so I get to have all of these amazing conversations with these amazing humans all around the world. And it's because of podcasting. And then from the podcast, we can get that content and use it in so many different ways. So it's very leveraged time-wise, because we can get, if I'm videoing like we're doing right now, we can then get the audio from that, put it on the podcast, we can transcribe it, it goes on the blog, we can put social media little tiles about it. So it can be cut up and used in lots and lots of ways. And I'm a fan of anything that has big impact with less effort.
No, that's true. I mean, I think, and I think many of the insights that you get on business, I mean, we have our own personal insights, but when we connect with others and they talk about how they built their businesses and the different challenges they went through, I think it sharpens us, and, it's almost like we get a whole new database of insights from so many others. And I love listening to leaders talk and share about their how they built their little empires or their little businesses and so on. One of the things that's I think that's interesting is that when you talk about the businesses that you try to help these women create, it's passion-driven businesses, right? To most extent, look, it's a hobby that I really enjoy, and can I monetize it? Can I take it to the next level? And many people question whether such passion-driven businesses can be sustainable, can be truly something that can yield long-term sort of returns. And you've seen many leaders have become billionaires because of a passion. Bezos with reading, and ultimately Amazon and others. But what's your thought in terms of being able to take your passion and driving it to monetization and making it a sustainable business?
Yeah, well, I think if you're not passionate about it, it's never going to be sustainable anyway. Because especially as if you're getting into business in online courses, then whatever you're talking about, you have to talk about it again and again and again and again and again and again. That if you're not passionate about it, you'll lose the enthusiasm for it, and you won't be able to promote it or create so much content about it. So I think passion is absolutely vital in business sustainability. And I think life is just too short to do something that you don't love. So joy and passion is where I would start from, is going, what actually am I most passionate about? And what do I need to share with other people? Not want to, but what do I need to go and do? And if you start from that place, I mean, yes, it may be the thing that you're passionate about people won't buy. So you also have to make sure that it's something, like I'm a massive fan of chocolate. Could I run a course on chocolate connoisseur? Maybe not. So it needs to be something that people want to buy as well. But if you can get those two things together, what you're good at, what you love, and something that people want and need, then you're on to a winner.
Fantastic. There's more people joined us, and someone's shouting out to you, Tina. Mohammed Idris says, hi, Tina. And for those of you, if any questions for Tina, just shoot them out in the comment section, and we will get the questions out to you. We're going to take a quick 30-second break right now, and we'll be right back here with Tina Tower here on the Leaderonomics Show. We'll be right back shortly. Welcome back to the Leaderonomics Show, and here we are with Tina Tower, author of a brand new book that's just out in the market, and you can get them at this website, which we'll show that. In the meantime, for those of you who just saw, that's Nicole, one of the best, or probably the best personalized AI learning app out there. And if you want to get it, go to nicole.app and you'll be able to get it. So we want to thank Nicole for being part of our show. Now, Tina, back to where we were talking a little bit about empowering women, and you were talking a little bit about this book that you've just written called The $1 Million Micro Business, and you can get it at themilliondollarmicrobusiness.com. And you shared a little bit about how you grew through the process, and ultimately, how you stepped out of your comfort zone into your courage zone, some to say. But I'm sure as you went through life, you would have had many different crucible moments. Moments that shaped you, moments that sometimes put you in a box and felt you may felt why is the world crashing down on me at this point in time? But you managed to step out of those situations or circumstances and be able to build yourself up and ultimately build this business and ultimately be an author of a book, right? So talk us through some of these. I mean, if you can, any specific crucible moments in your life that has led you to this path of success that you have today?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. I think one of the main one was when I became a mum. I had my business for 4 years before I had my babies. And what I learned very quickly was the business that I had before children had to be very different to the business that I had after them if I wanted to be the type of mum that I wanted to be. Prior to that, I'd just worked 7 days a week and, all day, every day, and was totally happy to do that. But that was really quite a crucial moment in my business career where I went, actually I need to work smarter, not harder. And I need to figure out how to leverage my time and my energy so that I'm not just working all day. And so that taught me to be very focused and very present when I was working, and to try and let go of guilt as well, which I know a lot of working mums suffer from, is going, when I am working, to just go 100% all in there. And then when I'm with my family, to be 100% there and not feel like I'm missing out on either one of those two. So they were really crucial for me. The other one was when, which I'm so grateful for now that we're in a pandemic, was I sold my big business in 2016 and then traveled around the world for a year. And for me, that really just, we went to 28 countries, which was just incredible. Malaysia was one of them. We were there. And it kind of seeing that many cultures and different belief systems really opened my eyes, because we're quite insular a lot of the time here in Australia. And so for me, being able to learn from different people, and I love that you do this show all around the world with people from all around the world, because people have such different belief systems that they believe to be fact. And seeing so many different sets of those really made me realize that we can totally design life however we want to do it. And so I was able to go really look and take that break out of life. To me, the year we traveled was really like a year out of normal life. It was this beautiful space in time where we could go, okay, for the next chapter of our life, what do we want? How do we want to live? Where do we want to live? What type of parents do we want to be? What type of partner do we want to be? What type of business do we want to run? And we were able to design the business that we have now around those lifestyle goals, instead of how it used to be the other way around.
No, I think what you've just done was backed by research. If you look at many of the great leaders of the world, right, that reflection time, right, is where you figure out who you are and ultimately have purpose and vision. And I think Steve Jobs did that when he took 3 years off to go to India. You see so many leaders across the world have that time of reflection to really find yourself, and be very clear and have that clarity in your mind in terms of what is it that my life is going to mean, and what is the legacy that I want to live. And I think that clarity helps you then be very clear on what to say yes to and what to say no to, and be able to drive that. So thanks for sharing that. I think that's a very practical advice that I think some of us, sometimes we need to just hit reset, right, and say, let's just figure out.
The hard part about now too is, for a lot of people, like, it's actually quite lonely being at home and being in lockdown and having that stagnation and not being able to expand our minds through creativity and through travel and conferences and all of those beautiful things that we all miss.
Human relations,
Yeah.
Yeah, what as you wrote this book, I'm sure you went across a lot of errors or misconceptions or things people, common mistakes that we make when we dive into this whole world of entrepreneurship. And I'm sure you've come across what I call entrepreneurship sins or must not do's that are common mistakes that we make very often, in terms of starting a business, in terms of getting up and running. What are some of these common misconceptions or some of these common mistakes that you may have uncovered that you may be able to share? I'm sure a lot of it is covered in your book, but and get that copy of that book to get the full download. But if you can share a couple of those, just to get us to think a little bit, as especially for those who are thinking about jumping into this whole online or selling online world.
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest ones is taking too long to get started, waiting for it to be perfect, of which it never will be. So sometimes I'll talk to people and they're going, I've spent a year getting this ready and trying to get the content perfect and waiting to launch. Whereas if you just launch and take that imperfect action, it means that you can view it as an experiment and adapt and change and constantly evolve, which is what you're going to have to do anyway. And I think that is something that really puts people off, is waiting until it's like in their mind, this level of perfection. And I don't mean putting out something that is like not good, like get it good, but don't keep putting it off. Be open to just hitting the market and then taking that feedback and then constantly evolving. And so I think that is probably one of the biggest things. And the other thing is not putting enough emphasis on marketing. So whatever business you have now, you
Yep.
have to be good at marketing. It
Yeah,
just
and that's a tough one, right? Because it's money out the door, you can't see, and many times you feel, almost, oh, I just threw this money, and you really don't know, until much later you see the results of it, and sometimes you can throw money down the drain when it comes to marketing, not especially if you don't do it right. So that's a tough one, and I mean, what sort of advice would you give in terms of marketing? Because I know that's an area that many struggle with. Many people struggle with trying to figure out what the right balance is. How much should I be investing, and what should I be doing, in that space?
Yeah, so I'm actually not a fan of expensive marketing. So I think, if you're starting out a business and you're going straight to Facebook advertising, it is a bit of a gamble and it takes a lot of work to get right. So I would actually encourage you to do personal brand marketing, do content marketing. So start writing articles, publish them on this beautiful platform, get interviewed on other people's podcasts, start your own podcast, show up on social media, run lives, do different masterclasses, like do things that are effortful, but they don't cost you money, because those things, while they take your time and energy, it's also going to connect, and humans buy from humans. So the more effort you can put in and show up for people, especially in the early days, the more you'll start to build that reputation without risking so much on the financial side there as well. But that can be really hard when you've never done digital marketing or any sort of personal branding before, to go, what do I do first? Like, really just start with getting your phone and going, hello world. Like, you have access to the whole world in your pocket. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, that's so very true. And Tina, unfortunately for you, or fortunately, every guest on the Leaderonomics Show, from the Queen of Sweden to Robert Kiyosaki to everyone's who's been on the show, goes through what we call a Thinkonomics challenge. Now, Thinkonomics is a little game that was created by the employees of Leaderonomics, and we have questions based on our 5 values of giving, relationship, and empowering in others. And so even though it's we're having a show long distance, we're still not going to exempt you from the Thinkonomics challenge. So here it is. We're going to start the Thinkonomics challenge. All right, Tina. So here's the Thinkonomics challenge. I'm going to give you a question as fast as you can. Speed answers, like not 2 minutes answers, but like 10 seconds, 20 seconds answers, as fast as you can. And we're going to look through a couple of our 5 of our different values, and we randomly pick these 5 questions. Giving, growth, relationship, building the future, and empowering. These are the 5 values of our organization, and here are the random questions that have just been picked by the computer. So first question, giving. If happiness was a national currency, what kind of work would make you rich?
Playing with my dogs.
Fantastic. Growth. What are 2 impossible things you have done in your life?
Written a book, traveled around the world.
All right. Relationship. If the average human lifespan was 40, how would you live differently?
No differently.
And you can take your time answering this, huh?
Yeah, differently at all. I really give it all I've got all the time. I live a big life.
All right. So live large all the time. Building the future. What kind of future do you want your grandchildren to live in?
A very different one to now. I hope we get on climate change, and I hope we can all be happy and peaceful together, and poverty goes away.
Fantastic. Final question, empowering. If you had to empower someone, what would be your basic check? What would your checklist be?
Embrace who you are, be yourself, and don't be afraid.
Fantastic. So I think, Shashi, I'm telling our producer Shashi that Tina passed the Thinkonomics challenge, and we're going to give you a copy of Leadership Nuggets, right? I think we'll send you a copy of a little book. Congratulations for passing the Thinkonomics challenge.
To me to not give like 5-minute answers, right?
You did it all under a minute, and that was the key, right? Keeping it under a minute. So congratulations. We're going to take a quick short break. We're going to be back here. We got a couple more questions for Tina as we wrap up the show. But we'll take a quick break and watch this little clip on Happily. And Happily is a very, very exciting little app that's just been out by this organization called Budaya. So Happily, here we go on Happily. So if you're a small business and if you have a number of employees, a great way to keep engaged in this time of pandemics is using Happily. You can check it out at budaya.app. So Tina, back to our questions just now. We were talking a little bit about crucible moments and how that's kind of defined and enabled you to become who you were. I want to talk a little bit about, there's a couple of questions that's coming out from some of our audience. And Jessica asked, hey there, Tina, what do you think often holds women back from stepping out of their comfort zone?
Hi, Jessica. It depends on your life experience, but what I see really commonly is the fear of judgment and the fear of failure, whether that be judgment from other people or whether that be judgment from ourselves. And sometimes it's ourselves that holds us back more than anything else because we don't want to disappoint ourselves. We want to keep ourselves safe and comfortable, and doing the big scary thing that we've never done before is stepping out of that comfort zone into the courage zone, as you said, which I love. And so I think that holds people back, is it's safer in that comfort zone. And so taking that leap. But if you want to live a big life, and if you want to have wealth, and if you want to make a big impact in the world, then it takes stepping out of that comfort zone, and it takes being brave enough to go boldly in the direction of your dreams. And I think that, if you can find the courage to do that, it's a really beautiful life.
Yep, absolutely. And Muller, a comment from Muller to you. So glad to have met you, Tina. So clear, so precise, so direct, so joyful, so empathetic. Thank you for these awesome episodes. And thank you, Muller, for tuning in and joining us. And Tina, appreciate the insights that you've been giving us so far. And I got a couple more questions. I want to ask, if you were to give some advice to especially budding women entrepreneurs. And I think there are many who are sitting here thinking, I want to start, but like you said before, there might be fear holding us back. There may be, obstacles. There may be sometimes our own mindset and our own beliefs that may curtail us from trying to take that step forward. What sort of advice would you give to some of these budding entrepreneurs?
My biggest advice is just start. And I know that that's not very helpful because there's any number of reasons of why. But really, if you just take that one small step, then just start, and every day just do one little tiny thing, then that will compound. And sometimes that's much easier than trying to do these massive things. It's just going, how can I break it down? Like, what would it look like if it was easy? And just do those little things. And the other thing that I would recommend is there's a TED Talk by Tim Ferriss, who wrote 4-Hour Workweek, that's all about fear setting. And it's one of my favorite exercises in going, like, go full doomsday. Go, okay, if I'm wanting to grow this business, what is the worst that can happen? Like, think of everything that could possibly go wrong, and then work out if everything actually did go wrong, then all of that potential downside, how could you recover from that? And for a lot of people, what actually stops you from going forward wouldn't take you that long or it costs that much to actually recover from. And if you look at the potential upside and the chances of that happening, I mean, you want to have that chance. Otherwise, you're guaranteed failure.
No, that's fantastic. When you do that kind of analysis, I think it helps us to clear our brains also a little bit. Pancha from Indonesia has a question. What do you think is the most important skill that an entrepreneur should have, Tina?
I think the ability to market yourself and also self-direction. So much of entrepreneurship and success is what you do when nobody's watching. It's going that extra mile when there's nobody there and doing the things in the dark that will help you to step into the light. And I do think that is a big thing, is if you need someone to say, congratulations, you're doing a good job, then entrepreneurship's not for you because you're automatically held at a higher standard and there's nobody cheering you on except for you. You have to be able to step into that leadership role, hire other staff, tell them they're doing a good job, manage them, but no one's giving that back to you. So I think self-direction is a really big part of that as well.
Fantastic. And we've got a viewer in LinkedIn that's going to buy your book, Tina. Yeah. So he says, loving today's guest, the personality and charisma is infectious. Can't wait to buy your book, Tina. And then we've got someone else who says, sharing what you can do is really powerful, especially when you haven't perfected your craft yet. We are all a working process. So Tina, lots of comments, and again, call out to Tina. I think the book is available at this website, milliondollarmicrobusiness.com. And you should be able to get that website. And here's that book again, just another plug on. So I think a lot of fans are tuned on and excited. One question we have from someone else who says, look, we often see successful leaders pour their hearts and mind and soul into their business up to the point where even their personal relationships are affected. Is it really about finding the right balance, or do we have to let go of something? So this is from someone from our team.
Yeah. So I do think it's possible to have it all, but it takes a lot of discipline. So with my previous business, I actually got to the stage, the reason I sold that is because I was so burnt out. I was so tired. It was getting too big for me, and I wasn't able to find that balance between the lifestyle that I wanted to lead and running that business. And it's what I love so much about online business is it gives you a lot more flexibility and a lot more freedom. And so I've got to be really conscious of that. For me, I'm a natural workaholic. So I love my work, which is a good thing, but it also means that I don't take much time for hobbies, because what I love to do is actually, luckily, what I get paid to do. But it also means that I don't take enough breaks from work. So I have to really be disciplined enough to switch off, to give my brain that break and that recovery period, and connect with that. But I'm very aware of that. It's something I've learned throughout the years. And I have to be disciplined to go, no, at this time I have to switch off. So for a lot of people, they've got to make themselves do the work. But if you're a natural entrepreneur, then you'll want to actually do nothing else but work, because you'll wake up thinking about it, you'll go to bed thinking about it, and all day long, right? But I've got 2 kids and they need me, and I want to be with them. So I have to remember sometimes it's not all going to end if I just take a break and step away, and it's okay to turn it all off and go and play.
Fabulous. And Tina, I'm going to end with this final question. As we close, this has been fantastic getting your insights and engaging with you, and listening to your infectious charisma, as one of our guests has termed it. But many of our viewers are young, fresh graduates. Just coming out to a very tough work environment. Jobs are scarce, and it's a dog-eat-dog kind of world for many of them as they come out. Some even came in the final year of their university, or final 2 years, I guess, were really sitting at a computer and connecting. So less relational experiences, which creates and makes many of us during our formative years, right? So what sort of advice would you impart to this graduating class that's coming out, that's wanting to go out there and take this world by storm and make a difference and put a dent in the universe, as Steve Jobs said?
Yeah.
What sort of advice would you impart to these guys that are coming into the workplace at this point in time?
Yeah, look, my heart goes out to you, because I think that it's a very difficult time in history to be young right now. Usually it's the time where you get to go and explore different parts of the world, and there's so much socializing, and it's been a really hard couple of years, and it looks like we're going to be in it for another year or so as well. So my advice would be to connect with people as much as possible, but also look at the upside in going, instead of it just being insular within your city or within your country, you have access to a global market, and there's over 7 billion people on the planet. There is enough people that they want what you've got. And so, one of the most beautiful things about being in the online space is you actually do better when you're just you. So, we had the comment that I'm so joyful. I've actually had someone say to me they didn't want to work with me because I was too happy and it was annoying. And so that's totally fine. The thing is, you get to choose your market, and your market gets to choose you. So if you just show up and you're yourself, whether you are, flamboyant and you like to wear bright earrings, or whether you are quite shy and quiet, there'll be people that resonate with different personality types. So the thing is to just, instead of trying to be somebody else, be you, because that's how you will, if you really just embrace who you are and what you want to do with your life, you have the capability to design life that's right for you and your version of success. It doesn't have to be somebody else's. I mean, for me, I look at some people and, they're spending all this money on cars and things that I'm not interested in at all, but I'll spend all my money on travel. And so if you look at what's important to you and design your life so that you can do those things, then that will make you happy. And that's a life well lived.
Great. Thanks, Tina, and really thank you for this session. And hopefully you get to go travel again and you come and visit
I
us in
know.
person
I
here in
will.
Malaysia,
Thank you so
and
much
get
for
to live
having
your
me.
passions again. So for a call out, I mean, for those who want to check out Tina's podcast, it's on Spotify. You can use the link below. And final comment from Mohammad Idris, who says, how to overcome fear and sometimes scared of failure when doing something. I think there's a question. Maybe we'll end with this question, Tina. How can someone overcome fear and being scared of failure when doing something? Maybe a quick response to that, Tina.
Yeah, so I think if you don't try, you've got 100% chance of failure. So that is the first thing. I think the other thing is sometimes when we feel afraid, we think that that's a sign to not do it, or that somehow we're too fear-based, and that's wrong. But whenever anybody, myself included, anybody tries something that they've never done before, they're going to feel fear. So rather than trying to fight that feeling and saying, oh my gosh, why am I so nervous? Why am I so afraid of this? What if all this happens? Just feel the feeling and do it anyway. Just go, you know what? I'm afraid of doing this. Of course I am. This is a big, massive thing. It's normal to feel this way, but I recognize that, and I'm just going to take that step anyway. And I'm just going to push out from that comfort zone into that courage zone.
Fantastic. So thanks, everyone. We've been talking to Tina Towers, award-winning serial entrepreneur and author of a new book that's just released. Go check out that book. And thank you so much, Tina. Wishing everyone a fabulous Thursday, and have fun. The Olympics kicks off tomorrow, so we'll have officially the 2020 Olympic kicks off on Friday. And you've got many fans. Shaji, famous entrepreneur from Malaysia, just follow Tina on Spotify. So there you go, Tina. Your fan base is increasing. So thank you, everyone. And you've been watching the Leaderonomics Show. Check out, we've got Robert Kiyosaki, the Queen of Sweden, Pierluigi Collina, the ball bat referee. He was on our show, and many others. You can go to YouTube and check it out. And many wishes. I mean, people are wishing great, Tina. Thank you, Tina. And thank you so much for joining us. And we'll see you next Thursday at the next episode of the Leaderonomics Show.